What's going on, Blossom is back, and welcome back to another episode of Top Drives. Now, exactly 187 days and 20 hours ago, I posted a video on my YouTube called 200 Ultra Rares. Well, today we're doing 300 Ultra Rares because now, 187 days later, I finally not only own 300 Ultra Rares, I own 340 Ultra Rares, but 300 of them are maxed. So today I'm going to tell you and show you my Ultra Rare collection and what cars are better than others, cars that have helped me in multiplayer events, maybe has won me a Tri-Series prize car, and of course reoccur in clubs all the time as, like, I guess reoccurring guests or something like that. But I'm gonna just tell you what are the best Ultra Rares, in my opinion, the ones that helped me out the most. Obviously, I don't have every Ultra Rare in the game, so I can't speak much for the GMC, or what else do I not have? The Acura NSX, but let me tell you, if I had those two, I would have them maxed immediately. I think the GMC is the only 64 RQ I don't have, and the Acura NSX is the only 63 that I don't have that isn't a prize car, because the other one is the Mazda BBR. But anyway, let's get into it. I'm gonna go to the beginning of my collection of 300 max Ultra Rares, and I'm gonna tell you what are definite keepers, what are so-so, and what are absolute garbage out of the cars that I have maxed myself. So let's go. So guys, before we get into the tour, just comment down below how many max Ultra Rares you have, and also I would recommend for you watching right now to whip out your garage as well. Look at your Ultra Rare collection and kind of look at what you have maxed and not maxed, because maybe there might be a gem in here that you might have stock that you might need to max soon that I think is very useful. Obviously, you can always use the Blossom choice as a great guideline for Ultra Rares to keep, but there are also great Ultra Rares outside of Blossom choice, and I want to take this time to tell you what they are today. So this is my collection. Starting us off are the Lotus Elite Sport 135s. I got a small little army of these. At one point I had 5, but I feel like there's, you know, especially for someone that plays clubs as much as I do, the maximum amount of numbers that I always seem to need is 3. So if you don't play clubs, I mean, you'll probably be fine with 1, and everybody gets 1 from the campaign, or 2. But I would definitely recommend 1 699 and 1 969. 969 is literally just a hairpin and slalom spec. That's it. 699 is everything else. We're talking twisty road, twisty circuit, etc, etc, etc. Next up is the Lamborghini Miura S, and no, don't worry, I'm not going to click the cars one by one 300 times. We're going to be here forever. But the Miura S has something I want to talk about. It used to be great as this low RQ dragster, but ever since the introduction of the Charger 3, you're better off that, because that car has better MRA, lower 0 to 60, and it's only 1 RQ more. At the same time, the Miura S does have a higher top speed, so it's better than the Charger in the test bowl and the test bowl alone. But if you want to use the car for the test bowl, you're better off making way and making RQ for the whatchamacallit, the purple Countach, the Thanos Countach. Moving on from that, we'll get into the Countach later because I do have 1 max. We have 2 Hummers, which I max just because I'm specialized in American cars. Once again, guys, you know, I've talked about specialization so many times. It's kind of one of the key aspects that you guys need to focus on if you want to be, I guess, successful at the game. So for me, my specialization is obviously Dodge, Aston Martin, and US as a whole, and that's why I maxed the H3 and the H3T. Outside of that, they're not very useful. Although they're 4-wheel drive off-road tires, I do not use them much. The H3T, I don't think I've used once. I've used once, okay? 100% win ratio. I've had it for just over a week. And the Hummer H3, this car I've had for quite a while. 579 days, 540 races. The win ratio isn't too bad, but I only use it in super niche occasions, and it's usually only in clubs. So if you don't play clubs, once again, it's another car that you don't really need. Moving on is the Caliber and the Mustang. All of those, nothing too special. Now, the first one I want to talk about is the Renault Sport Megane 4 RS. This thing is actually fantastic. Low ground clearance, low 0 to 60, low RQ, high handling. The MRA isn't handicap, and the top speed isn't bad. This is actually a fantastic little car, and I have it 969 because I've had it for so long. It's one of my first ever French Renaissance cars, and as you can see, I've had it for 752 days, and I've raced it over 3,000 times. I use this car in clubs a lot, but also outside of clubs. It's a really good RQ saver, and it's a huge bang for your buck because it has amazing 0 to 60 combined with amazing handling for that low RQ limit, especially when it comes to ultra rares only. This is a great bargain. So honestly, this is a car that I would recommend you to keep, and I am looking for a second one. I've never unpacked the second one. Trust me, I'm not a fan of French cars, but if I could get 5 of these, I would genuinely probably max 3 out of 5. I might even max 5 depending on what my fuse power looks like. Moving on, I have a collection of Pontiac Solstice GXPs. They haven't really done much. They're kind of just my RQ savers, especially before American Frontier. This was kind of my low RQ Ultra US twisty car, but obviously with the Dodge Circuit AV, this isn't really a car that I use that much anymore. That being said though, they did come in clutch during the Yoto event, but outside of that, you don't really need the Solstice. It's not bad. It's not bad. 4592, not bad at all. But it's just not fantastic, and it's not really a car that I would say you need to keep. Next one is the Opel OPC Extreme. Now I have to say this car is a little bit of a disappointment. It's just not as good as I thought it would be. You know, I thought it's an incredibly light. Well, it's actually not that light, right? 1,300. So maybe that's why it's a bit of a disappointment, because I think it's light, but it's not actually that light. Like when you look at this, you think maybe it's like 1,000 kgs, 900, but no, it's actually 1,003. That's actually kind of heavy. But it handles really well. It has a lower 0 to 60, but of course it has no MRA. But even when you deploy it on the twisties, there are some track sets where it does lose to the Lotus. So because of that, it's a little bit of a disappointment. I really wanted this to be the Lotus 135 killer, something that I could rely on, but it just isn't that. It doesn't give me that sense of safety when I put this up against a Lotus. At the end of the day, I'd rather just use a Lotus 135. That being said, I have 2 Max, but I don't use them that much, to be completely honest. In the grand scale of things, 235 races for 156 days. I have cars with a lot more races in a lot less time. So I know the win ratio doesn't look too bad, but I have to say I don't use it as much as I wish I could. Moving on is the Opel Adam R2. Now this thing, always a keeper. Always a keeper. I've talked about it so many times, so I'm not gonna, repeat myself so I don't sound like a broken record. But the Opel Adam R2 is a definite keeper. RX-7, it's kind of like the Pontiac Solstice for Japanese cars, right? I just have it because it's a low RQ twisty car, and I would say it's good to have one of the RX-7 variations in your garage. I think that the RS7 Type RS, the red one that I have, is the best out of the 3 variations, but I'm not too sure about that. I'm not a Japanese specialist, so you might need to ask Korn, but I heard somewhere that the red one was the best. But moving on with the Countach, this is the best ultra rare for the test bowl, full stop, so Blossom choice. Of course, we have 3 Charger 3s Max, that's a Blossom choice as well, so it speaks for itself. The Mito I've used a lot less now since it went from medium to low. The handling is just not up to par. The 0 to 60 is great, and this one is actually light, but I just don't use it as much because it's just that low handling of under 90, which is a huge red flag for me. The Volvo V90 T6 all-wheel drive, this thing won me 2 prize cars. I think one was the Viper GTSR and the other one was the McLaren Senna, because the McLaren Senna I had 1 ultra rare in my hand, it was this. The Viper GTSR I had 1 ultra rare in my hand, and it was this. That being said, this car won me 2 prize cars when it was RQ59, before it got nerfed. Now it's gotten nerfed. I still don't think it's bad, because for RQ52 you're getting a car of 89 handling, 4-wheel drive, and medium ground clearance. It's kind of like a Lancia. It's like better version of the Lancia Delta Integrale, which is a super rare in the game. I still think that it's a definite keeper. I would really endorse the V90. Next up is the Renault Sport. Nothing too much. That thing's trash. I maxed it out for like one of those legendary challenges. I think Riders of the Storm or whatever it was. Same thing with the Ghibli. Max it out for a challenge. Nothing too special. Everything here so far is kind of just underwhelming, so I'm just going to move on. We got 2 RQ19 BMWs, which I did for fun. The Duke Nismo is actually pretty useful. I do use this quite a bit. As you can see, 138 races, 211 days, 78% win ratio. Actually, I say I use it quite a bit, but I guess I don't, considering it has similar numbers to the Opel whatever Extreme it was. But when I say I use it a bit, it's because it's one of the best cars in its niche. The Opel really isn't one of the best cars in its niche. When it comes to front-wheel drive, it's not even the best there, because you have the Volkswagen TCR. But the Duke Nismo is one of the best in its niche, because if it's all surface tires times 5 and it's all dry in clubs, this is one of the best cars to go for, because it has 92 handling and the 0 to 60 isn't too bad as well. Once again, it's a club car. I don't really use it outside of clubs, so if you don't play clubs, it's not really a car that you need to keep. Miura SV, amazing little car. Once again, I use it all the time before the introduction of the Charger 3. Now that the Charger 3 is in town, I barely look at the Miura SV anymore, only when there's Italian events, but I would still say keep one around. But yeah, moving on, of course, like I said, Dodge Circuit EV, it's a replacement of the Pontiac Solstice. I got 3 of those maxed. And the Ford Mustang GT is a car that I really love. It used to be RQ52, it got bumped up to 53, and rightly so, because it's 4287 medium ground clearance. That is just an all-rounder, but in a good sense. Once again, you know, I don't like all-rounders that are low ground clearance, but I like all-rounders that are medium ground clearance, because that ground clearance thing is actually a huge buff. And that's why I'm really sad when a car goes from medium to low, because that genuinely actually kills the usefulness of a car in many regards. Moving on to the Charger Daytona. Charger Daytona, I don't use it too much, to be completely honest, because if there were shorter drags, I would use the Charger 3, and if it was a test bowl, I would use the Countach. The Daytona is basically the Countach for American cars, so if I can't use the Countach and there's a test bowl, I'll use the Charger Daytona, if that makes sense. I would say definitely keep one in your garage, but you definitely don't need two like me. But you know, for me, I'm a Dodge collector, so most Dodge Ultras that you will see, I'll probably have in maxed 2 or 3 versions each. But yeah, once again, you know, do whatever you specialize in. Whatever you specialize in, max out those ultras. Even if, let's say you like Maserati, Maserati has a bunch of useless ultra rares. If you specialize in Maserati, you gotta max those useless ultra rare Maseratis as well. That's just the name of the game. Moving on with the Buick and the M3, the Outlander, the Giulia Veloce. This one's actually not bad. I've used it quite a long time, quite many times. I've owned it for a long time, 845 days, over 1,000 races. Win ratio is pretty low, but it's kind of a car that I use to only lose by 50, if that makes sense. Moving on, nothing too much here. I love the RS 500. I've seen people say that this car is actually trash and that Blossom's just dumb for speaking highly of it. Look, the car isn't great, and it's not a Blossom choice for a reason, but it's decent in its niche, which is 1980s ultra rare, or just 1980s. Okay, it's medium ground clearance, it handles okay, and you know, if you compare it to other 80s cars in the RQ 50 to 55 range, its MRA is one of the better ones. Okay, so it's not bad, but it's not good. But is it a car that you should keep? It's kind of a car that you should max if you have no other projects to max. Like, let's say you've already maxed all your Blossom choices and you max whatever cars that you specialize in, and you just have this lying around and you feel like maxing something. I'd rather max it than fuse it, if that makes sense. But yeah, moving on with the Bronco and the Countach. I do use the Countach quite a bit, although it is that low, you know, ground clearance all-rounder kind of situation. Moving on, we've got the Caterham 270. Amazing. I use these all the time. One of the best club cars in the game, alongside the Renault Desire. I have 2 of them max, 1969 and 1996. If I get a third one, I'll max the third one as well. But yeah, moving on, it's just a lot of filler. All this is filler. The 62 is actually not bad. I would say that isn't filler. And the P250 is good in Land Rover events, but only Land Rover events. But yeah, moving on with the Dodge M80, which I'm a personal fan of. It's actually very good. It actually beat a legendary Range Rover on the slalom, because once again, this is actually a good ultra rare. It is. It genuinely is, especially with that hill climb boost that it has now, and it still weighs like nothing, right? I think it was a stronger ultra rare when it was RQ52, because that made it cheaper to use. But you know, that being said, even with the RQ boost, I still think it's a very good ultra rare. The M80, I know a lot of people meme on it, but it's actually a really good ultra rare because it's so light and it handles okay. It's kind of like the Suzuki Ignis for the ultra rare collection. But moving on here, nothing too special. The SRT4s are huge disappointments, not gonna lie. The 300C, I just maxed it out because it looks decent. And of course, we have my collection of Trailblazer SSs. Those cars speak for itself. We have Tahoe as well. I love my Tahoe Custom, but it's not a good ultra rare in any respect. And then we have a bunch of filler. The TLX I use in clubs. It's an amazing club car, but outside of clubs, I don't really use it at all. Really, I actually don't use it at all. But in clubs, it's great because it's the only ultra rare front wheel drive center tire car. Once again, one of my favorite niches that I would always say that you should always keep in max is 4-wheel drive center tire medium. Any 4-wheel drive center tire medium is probably a decent car already, if not good. And the X-Type is good. We have 2 Nitros max just because of Dodge, and of course I love Nitro. We have 2 520D X drives. I have the third one stock, and I'm thinking about maxing the third one because once again, standard 4-wheel drive handles pretty well, low RQ as well. And then moving on, we have the Opel Corsas. 2 of those are really good. As you can see, I have a lot of duplicates. And one of the main reasons to why I have so many duplicates is because for clubs, you know, you need that squad depth. And obviously, like, I prefer having having duplicates of one amazing car than having a variety. Because, you know, if one car does the job so well, then why not just have two of the same car doing the same job as well as each other? You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather have two Lionel Messis than one Lionel Messi and one Neymar. Yeah, Lionel, I hate Neymar, by the way, but I'm just using this as an analogy. Actually, I don't want to use that as an analogy because I hate Neymar. So let me explain it in a different analogy. I don't want a Cristiano Ronaldo and a Paulo Dybala if I can have two Cristiano Ronaldos. You know what I mean? So like the Civic Type R, I have two Civic Type Rs. Why should I have a Civic Type R and like the Nissan whatever 340 if I could just have two Civic Type Rs? You know what I mean? So if there's an option for me to get two Cristiano Ronaldos, I will have two Cristiano Ronaldos. I hope that made sense. That was actually a pretty good analogy. I'm proud of myself. But yeah, Aerovet, really good one. If I don't talk about it, it means that it's probably kind of underwhelming. So, you know, I'm just going to move on. But if you have any questions for any of my ultra rares, let me know down in the comments below. Lotus 340R speaks for itself. That thing is fantastic. And I have my Charger army and the look at that. Dodge, dodge, dodge. The Challenger SRTAs, these things were amazing for me in the Yoto Challenge. But I have to be honest, outside of the Yoto Challenge, I never used them. And then between the Charger Daytona and the SRT8, you might be thinking, which one does Blossom prefer? Before the upgrades to the Chargers, like when they both had no MRA, I preferred using the SRT8. But now I prefer using the Charger Daytona. Moving on, we have two Grand Sports. This one won me Tier 1 yesterday in the Corvette event. Not this one, sorry. This one, because this is the 699 version that is better. And then we have two Z4s. These things are decent. Once again, the highest RQ for the highest number for handling in German Ultras is 95. This is 94. So that's hitting up pretty close there. Just, you know, a little short of the roof and the TCR. I have to say, all the Aston Martin Ultra Rares are really useless. I don't use any of them. I max them all just because they're Aston Martins. ZDX 4-wheel drive standard. That's why. The Renault Sport Megane, one of the best French Ultra Rares in the game. The Megane 4 and the Desire is like the holy trinity of French Ultra Rares in my opinion. And then I got my collection of AMG G63s. These are my specializations for off-road, half and quarter. And then the three Trailblazers are my specializations for off-road, ultra, 1 mile test bowl. Moving on is the Infiniti G37. Amazing car, helped me a lot in Yoto. I use it a lot in clubs. I use it outside of clubs in multiplayer events as well. Whenever there's rain, this kind of is my ultra rare version of the Cadillac ELR. I'm kind of sad that I only have one. If I do get a second one, I'll definitely max it. If I do get a third one, I'll max it as well. I got two Stealth, which I don't really use too much. A Challenger Concept, which I think I've never used once. Let me see. I've used once. once. I got two Aspen Hybrids. I use that only for clubs when Chrysler events show up, but we haven't gotten that in a while. Clubs has literally just been French. It's French, Japanese, French, Japanese, French, Japanese, French, Japanese. Ugh, it's annoying. But yeah, I got the 300, nothing too special here. Two Virage Volantes, which I literally never use. This one, I kind of just looked at it and I was like, oh, the 060 is low. It might be okay if it's at 996. Sorry, 996'd it, but I never had the chance to even use it. I don't think I've used it once. Actually, no, I've used it 41 times. It's a lot more times than I thought I would. But I probably used it like as filler, you know, in clubs, racing against bots kind of thing. But yeah, DB3S, this one's actually good. This is like the only like good Aston Martin Ultra. This and the Rapide S. I think everything else is kind of hot garbage. But yeah, that one's pretty good. It has 88 MRA. It handles okay. Low 0 to 60, high top speed. Once again, good MRA, low top speed, no good. Good MRA, high top speed, good. But yeah, we have the 450. You know, it's once again good MRA, low top speed. You know, I'd rather use the DB3S. Roof 3400S, I don't use it that much, although it does have 95 handling. I just rather make space for the TCR instead. And then everything else, we got the Martini Army, which unfortunately I never used. GTO, barely use it. R32, I get a lot of use out of the 996. I get more use out of the 996 and the 969 because I use this a lot in clubs. It's a great club car. It does drag in city. This is one of the best Japanese dragsters, believe it or not. Especially if the RQ limit is low and you can't put in the R390. So the GTR R32 I use a lot, especially the 996. As you can see, I've used it 693 times and it has a pretty good win ratio of 84%. Moving on here, XKR, I'm a huge fan. I don't get to use it much, but I do love the car. And the Esprit S4, once again, this has been the car I've been chasing forever. Never use it. In fact, I forget that it was in my garage, but I max it out because, you know, I like it. Ford Mustang GT, what a roller coaster, right? This thing used to be Ultra, then it went Epic, then it went Ultra again, which is my oldest one, I think. Yeah, this is my oldest one, I think. Yep, 1,252 days. That is an old boy. And then this one is also pretty old, 1185. Insane. These things are, I had these things when they were ultra. I've seen them go epic and I've seen them come back to ultra. They used to be medium back in the day. 2 tomatoes, 3 M5s, very niche car once again, the M5. So only when there's medium ground clearance and it's saloon, but there have been events where I've actually need to use them, like multiplayer events where I've needed to use the M5. So definitely a car that I would keep one of, but definitely don't go crazy like me and get a 3. But yeah, everything else here is kind of filler. People talk highly about the Europa SE, but I barely use it. RT10's decent. It's a pretty good American twisty car, but once again, when you know the Dodge Circuit came in with American Frontier, I felt like everything in American Dream kind of got washed away because the you know cars like the Charger 3 and the Dodge Circuit EV, they just came in guns blazing, and guess what? They're the new Blossom choices in town. C5 is okay. These BMWs and Astons are kind of trash. 911 RS, you know, amazing MRA, but I don't get to use it as much, and because it has amazing MRA, I have a 996 one of it. But once again, I'm a sucker for Porsches. As you can see, I got a Cayman and 2 Max Boxsters. Exige has 1. I kind of regret fusing my second one. I had 2. I should have kept the second one and 699'd it because this one is 969. That being said though, this thing has won me not Tri-Series, but it has won me carbon fibers in Tri-Series. Like it's won me like prelims and qualifiers, that kind of thing. 2 XJs. These things actually are super useful in their niche, and their niche usually shows up pretty often in multiplayer events. Like we're talking what, 5-seater GE, 5-seater UK, I don't know, like what, 4-door UK, or like rainy UK. Like it surprisingly is useful in a lot of events, in clubs and outside of clubs. So I would definitely keep 2, genuinely. Legend is okay. QX30, you know, handles well. We got Ford Escorts that are really good. The Uncles, I don't use Uncles that often, to be honest, but I have 2 of the Max just because it's Dodge. Camaro SS, once again, amazing car. I still get a decent amount of use out of it, but obviously with the introduction of the Dodge, this actually does beat the Dodge Circuit EV, so that car is good, but with the introduction of the blue NSX, it's just not as good as the blue NSX. I don't have the blue NSX yet, so yeah, I've been using the Camaro. We have the collection of my TCRs. I got 4 Max. You know me, I hate Volkswagen, but TCR is fantastic. Definitely would keep that. 2 Malus, 2 Tamoras. These things speak for itself. Absolutely amazing. 4 924s. They used to be one of the best ultra off-roaders, but now it's the 037, which I still only have 1 of, unfortunately. I would love to get another one, but for some reason they don't want to come to me. Pontiac Torrent, I got 2 Max literally just for Pontiac clubs, and of course I have 3 Max Evo 4s. This thing is just fantastic, just absolutely fantastic. 485 days, 1,584 races. How about this one? Let's see, 812 races, 325 days, and the last one is 340 days and 920 races. The Evo 4s are some of the best ultra rares in the game, along with the 340Rs. And then we have the CTS Coupe, fantastic car. Another car which I had 2 of, which I regret fusing the second one. And then I literally maxed it just because the picture changed. That was it. Which is something HUD should do, you know? HUD should just change pictures of ultra rares, and then because of that, people will think, oh, it's a new car, but actually just a new picture. But they'll max it anyway because it's something new. I mean, at least that's what I did. I literally maxes just because it had a new picture. And also the fact that it is an estate now. It wasn't an estate before. So, you know, it might be useful in estate events. 030 is good. Then with my collection of Beat CRs, I love the Beat CRs. Nobody is going to tell me different. As you can see, 1,245 races, 84% win ratio. Love, 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 love this car. Best ultra rare for the 1 mile drag, full stop. Beats the Tamora, beats the Countach, beats the Challenger Scat Pack, you name it. Porsche 968 is a great car. AMG S63. I mean, all these are keepers now when it comes to 64. 037 Rally. A lot of people are like, Blossom, why did you 996 it? You're big dumb. The thing was, I 996 it before it got its buff. So 996 was the best upgrade pattern for this car before the buff. Then it got buffed, and now it's like one of the best ultra rares at 969, and that's kind of what you want to go for. I get it. If I had 5 of those, I would max 5 in a heartbeat, no cap. In fact, I have 3 max on Ernesto's account, so that's kind of funny. 2 Edge Sports, fantastic machine. 2 Colorados, wish I had more. 2 Scat Packs, don't use them too much. 2 Repeat S's, and of course the Alpine, which is my best Medium ground clearance ultra rare. I think it loses to the 037 though, but I don't have the 037, so what can I do? But yeah, of course the auto delta and the RDX to round things off. But that's it, man. That is 300 maxed ultra rares. As you can tell, I put a lot of effort into this rarity. It is like the rarity that gets the most attention from me, ultra rares. And I'll probably make another video once I have 400 max. God knows what I will max next, honestly. I have almost every ultra high end. Like you saw earlier, I just don't have the GMC and the NSX, and I guess the BBR, but that's a prize card. Everything else, as you can see, I already have it in the bag. The XE, this is on the list. I will max this the next time I get it. The Countryman, shit. I will never touch that. The Carrera 4, I might. You know, it's not good, but you know, I'm getting bored and I'm running out of ultra rares to max. Carlton is on the list. That's actually a decent one that I need to focus on one day. The Grand Convertible, that's a no-no for me. Don't like. Did they get a buff? It used to be RQ like 58. Why did it go up to RQ? Is it medium now? Probably. I think it always was medium though, wasn't it? Focus RS, I had that. I've used it like 4 or 5 times already. I'm never gonna probably invest in that. I mean, looking at the ultra that I don't have, it's not like I really want any of them. That's a prize car, the Dodge. I want that. M35 and the Yukon. I want those two. Don't want that Jag. Don't want the Maserati. I do want the C55. I've been looking for this for a while. I just can't seem to get it. Green Cayman, don't need it. Insignia, don't need it. The Audi, the Bentley, don't need those. I have been looking for the 535 for a while, so hopefully I get that. That's a prize car. And then all this is just trash. And then when you get to the lower end, this is where you really see the gaps, you know? Like, this is where you can see that I really just decided not to touch any of these. And, you know, for good reason. But anyway, that's gonna be it. That's 300 ultra rares. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions, let me know down in the comments below. But that's gonna be it for today. Remember, stay safe, wash your hands, and blossom out. Peace.
I bring the toast in the back and we going berserk with the guns on the rack, and we taking account to the sound of the crack. Running from us with the pop and the, cause we're making the moves and the sound of the P. Calling the shots, bitch looking at me, and we taking account to the flow in the back with the drop in the cash. You know this ain't a prank. Moving like water, talking with fire. Bounce back on the cover to mama's desire. Keep riding the flames like a man on a mission. Rejected again, but you better go listen. Pop up at Billy, run out the Billy. My face on the boards and you all gonna see me. I walk my wrist to look guys in his yachty. Flexing the club, something serially.